We're here today to present those recommendations to the Department of Peace Operations in the hope and expectation that they will help us to meet our shared goals together and increase the participation of women in peacekeeping in all roles and at all levels. I'll hand the floor now to South Africa's Minister for Defence and Veteran Affairs, the Honourable Nosiviwe Mapiza Ingakula. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Thank you for convening this meeting of the Action for Peacekeeping Women, Peace and Security Champions to present practical recommendations for breaking barriers for women in peacekeeping. South Africa, in partnership with other women and peace and security champions, Bangladesh, Canada, Germany, Indonesia, Ireland, Kenya, and Namibia, in a series of seminars, explored barriers for women peacekeepers both nationally and in deployment areas, as well as the potential progress of this important pillar of the Women, Peace and Security agenda in the new era of action for Peacekeeping Plus. Consistent with our national laws that promotes equality for all, South Africa has gone beyond exploring and is striving to implement the principles and provisions of the Women, Peace and Security agenda and the action for peacekeeping. This is evidenced by South Africa's advancement of United Nations Security Council Resolution 2493 in October 2019 that urges all relevant stakeholders to fully implement the commitments made on the Women, Peace and Security agenda. The FIT was followed recently by the launch of our National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security, which will add further impetus to the aspirations of the South African National Defence Force, particularly matters pertaining to protection, representation, and participation. I should also indicate that on the 8th of March 2021, on International Women's Day, we received a report of the Ministerial Task Team to investigate issues of sexual exploitation and abuse, SIA, that we had commissioned in 2019. We are now implementing its recommendations, key amongst which are gaps identified in the implementation of policies and standard operating procedures. We've now established the hotline for the reporting of cases of sexual exploitation and abuse, as well as working on the establishment of the Sexual Misconduct Center, respectively. We will elevate these matters as we celebrate our National Women's Day during the month of August 2021. Our women in deployments have shown passion in the development and carrying out of socio-economic programs. South Africa is pleased with the adoption of the UN Security Council Resolution 2538 in August 2020, which is the first resolution on women peacekeeping championed by Indonesia. This is an important milestone for the UN and member states to deepen the implementation of the Women, Peace and Security agenda and to address, amongst others, the barriers to women's full and meaningful participation in peacekeeping operations. This resolution provides a firm basis for advancing women, peace and security within the context of the Action for Peacekeeping Plus. South Africa remains proud to have a large number of women participating in UN peacekeeping missions and will continue to strive to increase the participation of women in peacekeeping at all levels. The recent gender parity statistics indicates that South Africa has surpassed the 2021 uniformed members gender parity strategy targets of the UN military experts on missions and staff officers currently, and now we are currently standing at 31.3. In addition, the 2021 uniform gender parity strategy target for troops is 8%, and South Africa has surpassed it to 16.12%. However, more efforts to increase the numbers of female commanders, defense attachés, and deployment of female officers in UN and AU secondment posts remains critical. Following actions are already underway to increase the female participation in breaking the barriers at national peacekeeping mission levels. One, more female officers on commanders training programs. Two, promotional appointments of female officers. Three, deployment of more female defense attachés. Four, ensure facilities in the mission areas are conducive for use by women. Five, South Africa has appointed its first female lieutenant general. Six, we are striving for a 50-50 representation in the deployment of peacekeepers. And lastly, provide national ownership, leadership, guidance, and support for the women, peace, and security agenda. In conclusion, we salute our women peacekeepers who continue to show commitment, competence, and resilience in contributing towards the United Nations overarching objective of a peaceful world. I thank you.
Minister, thank you very much, and thank you for South Africa's leadership in this area. I know it is significant and it's a big priority for you. Next up, we have Germany's Minister for Defense, Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, and she's joining us by video.
Honorable Minister Coveney, Honorable Under-Secretary General Lacroix, Excellencies, dear co-chairs and colleagues, my very best greetings from Berlin. I am delighted that all of us come together virtually from the different parts of the world in recognition of this handover event today. This highlights the importance of our joint work of the past month. It is a great honor to be a co-sponsor of today's event, and I would like to thank my dear colleague, Minister Simon Coveney, for Ireland's effort in organizing this event. Everything started with one ambition: to come up with concrete recommendations for the UN and its member states to remove barriers, establish an enabling environment, and to finally bring more women into peacekeeping. Because, as we all know, these are key elements for increasing the efficiency of UN missions. As a consequence, a series of events on breaking barriers, women in peacekeeping, was launched. Since the fall of 2020, we have been exchanging experiences and debating ideas. But most importantly, we have been listening to experts from the field. One notable example was one of our German peacekeepers at UN-MIS who provided valuable insights. Today, we are proud to present the final report to you, Under-Secretary General Lacroix, together with a series of recommendations. Now it is up to all of us to make their recommendations a reality on the ground. To Germany, the recommendation on building women's networks is of particular relevance. Together with our UN partners, we are in the process of discussing how such a network of former, current, and prospective women peacekeepers could be established. And what is more, we are keen to share our findings and lessons learned from our national barrier assessment as soon as we have the final report fully evaluated on our side. One thing is certain: Germany's commitment for women in peacekeeping does not end with the completion of this series of events. We continue to raise awareness on this issue, to deepen exchange and to promote women, peace and security across the board. I'm happy Germany is in such good company on this issue with the fellow A4P champions and many other countries firmly committed to the cause. Together, we can push for progress and strengthen our UN missions. I'm very much looking forward to our future collaboration. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am very pleased to join today's outcome event of the Action for Peacekeeping WPS Champions, that event series. I congratulate the co-host of this series for this timely and action-oriented initiative. Excellencies, Bangladesh has a long history of promoting women's effective role in peace and security. We established a rehabilitation board for the victims of the conflict-related sexual violence back in 1972, way before WPS agenda was even formally conceptualized. We held perpetrators of sexual violence accountable through judicial means. This commitment has inspired us to lead the efforts behind adoption of the landmark Security Council Resolution 1325 as a non-permanent member of the Council. Our efforts included adoption of a PRST in March 2000. We continued our efforts to institutionalize WPS agenda by sending women to peacekeeping missions. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our women peacekeepers are making significant contribution to the UN's work. At home, they inspire women and girls to take challenging jobs. We have already achieved the target set by the UN of 17% female staff officer and military observer. We are working to reach the goals in other areas as well as by identifying barriers that impede the participation of women in the peacekeeping operations. We have also adopted a national action plan on women, peace and security. Our efforts have enabled us to deploy female military contingent commander, helicopter pilot, female engagement teams, and so on. Excellencies, I am pleased to see that the WPS event series has led to set up concrete recommendations which demonstrate our collective resolve to ensure women's full, effective and meaningful participation to the UN peacekeeping. We pledge our full support in the implementation of these important recommendations. I'd like to particularly reiterate our strong focus on recommendation number 3 that calls, I quote, actors across the UN system to strengthen the enabling environment for women peacekeepers internally by raising awareness of how gender stereotyping can undermine women's meaningful participation in peacekeeping and providing peacekeepers at all levels with the tools to address these stereotypes and externally by making gender a key component of the strategic communication plans of the missions and the DPO, with a view to raising the profile and ultimately enhancing women's participation, including in leadership, unquote. I thank you all. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, breaking barriers for women in peacekeeping is crucial. It allows us to ensure their full and meaningful participation in peace operations. Our 3 workshops in the first semester of 2021 not only explore several barriers, but provided recommendations to address them. The recommendations serve as useful inputs to the UN Department of Peace Operations to formulate policies as a catalyst to increase the role of women in peacekeeping. With currently 183 women peacekeepers in 7 missions, Indonesia is committed to increase the numbers and to support enabling environment for women in peacekeeping. Our commitment is also in line with 3 recommendations presented today in addressing barriers to women in peacekeeping. First, the need to design gender-sensitive infrastructure for peacekeeping. Ensuring a safe and enabling working environment for female peacekeepers is one of Indonesia's top priorities as a contributing country to UN peacekeeping. Second, the importance of conducting national barrier assessment. Barrier assessment should be performed in consideration of the unique culture and situation of each contributing country to ensure optimal result in addressing barriers. Third, establishment of Women Peacekeepers Network. Indonesia is a strong supporter of Women Peacekeepers Network as it provides additional support for increasing female deployment in the UN peacekeeping. To conclude, ensuring full, effective, and meaningful participation of women in peacekeeping is a shared responsibility. Indonesia remains committed to be part of this collective endeavor. I thank you very much.
I'm very pleased today to be participating on behalf of Canada in this closing event for the UN's Action for Peacekeeping WPS event series. And I want to thank Ireland for its leadership today as we all work together to increase the role of women in peacekeeping operations. Canada is proud to be part of this group of champions as it is one of our key priorities. Through the ELSI Initiative for Women in Peace Operations, we've been working with women peacekeepers and partners to break barriers and create a more inclusive and effective future for UN peacekeeping. The recommendations in the outcome document presented today notably call for more enabling environments for women peacekeepers by combating harmful stereotypes that undermine their participation, including in leadership roles. We've heard from peacekeepers directly about the struggles they face, and beyond listening, we're committed to taking action. Recent studies supported by Canada on the taboos, stigmas, and experiences that harm women peacekeepers when they deploy have shown that women confront stereotypes that limit the task they are assigned and lack proper support to thrive in their jobs. In one study, every single woman interviewed had either directly experienced or witnessed sexual harassment in their workplace. Women face more scrutiny than their male counterparts and are more reluctant to speak out about the harassment, assault, homophobia, and racism they experience while deployed. This situation cannot be allowed to continue. Creating a supportive work environment requires physical environments that are safe and receptive for all. For this reason, we welcome the UN's recently published gender-responsive designs for peacekeeping camps. The improvements are both big and small, addressing the mental well-being, comfort, safety, and privacy of staff. Mission leaders must also develop the instincts to support their staff and call out harmful behavior and stereotypes. We face a complex task, but creating a safe and enabling environment in peacekeeping missions is an essential component of action for peacekeeping. Everyone benefits from a safer and more inclusive future for UN peace operations. That's why Canada is proud to associate itself with these recommendations, and we thank all those who've worked so hard to bring them forward.
Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Namibia is delighted to participate in this important discussion today. During the first half of 2021 and over the course of the 3 meetings jointly hosted by Ireland, Germany, Namibia, South Africa, Bangladesh, Kenya, Indonesia, and Canada, we were able to explore the barriers to full, equal, and unequal participation faced by women peacekeepers and the means by which they might be addressed. Importantly, we were also able to hear from and engage directly with women peacekeepers and gain a more intimate understanding of the barriers, fully cognizant that increased numbers are not enough. From these important conversations, we have learned that we must address the social, structural, and institutional barriers. Creating more inclusive, effective, and sustainable outcomes requires looking beyond the numbers and actively incorporating gender perspectives into policies and programs. which requires sustained investment in gender analysis, expertise, and research. I would like to underscore the importance of integrating gender analysis across the planning, the implementation, and the analysis of operations in an inclusive manner. Women's life experiences, their needs, issues, and priorities are different, and this holds true in respect of their careers and their advancement. Viewing women as vulnerable or non-threatening, or in the scope of gender stereotypes, limits the deployment of female peacekeepers in dangerous missions or from certain roles. Further, by applying a gender lens to data collection and analysis, DPO officers or units and sections will also increase their own understanding of how gender intersects with their work. Regular gender analysis builds internal capacity and reveals the linkages between gender and all aspects of peace operations. Good training equips those involved in peace building to integrate gender analysis either as discrete training in integrating gender or by including gender in other training. In conclusion, mission mandates should call for necessary gender analysis and technical gender expertise, ensuring the needs and participation of women are integrated in all sequence stages of mission mandates and components. This should also encompass regular consultations with civil society, including women's organizations. When implemented properly, gender analysis can be the difference between a successful and a failed operation. I thank you.
Your Excellencies, Ministers, PRs, and USGs, and my fellow A4P plus WPS champions. My PR sends his warm regards and best wishes on behalf of Kenya. I have walked the evolution of the WPS path in my career, from having no women in our unit as a young peacekeeper in the United Nations Protection Force in 1992, to having women integrated in my battalion without segregated tasks as a commanding officer in the United Nations mission in South Sudan. Currently, Kenya stands at 22% in the gender parity. And the QRF we are deploying to MONUSCO has a 50-50 gender parity engagement team. How did we get there? Initially, Kenya developed a scorecard early on to encourage commanders to allocate equitable tasks in all areas of units undertaking. Points were scored on not just the tasking, but on performance of the task, which implied commanders training their people. Without knowing it, and now that I am here, I realize this was full and meaningful participation of women. And this has led to self-belief in Kenyan women peacekeepers, as evidenced in the nomination of recently, the Military Gender Advocate of the Year, Major Steplin Nyaboga. And I would like to reflect on recommendation number 5, incentivizing member states. We propose that the UN should allocate specific middle and senior level positions to women in UN missions and at the headquarters, and request member states to nominate candidates and not fill those positions with others apart from women peacekeepers. And at the deployed units, and I appreciate the representative of Bangladesh, their achievements in commanding, the UN should champion the selection of women commanders, which should gradually be pegged at a percentage of the unit deployed in UN missions. And the UN can keep this data on exemplary women performance and recall the exemplary women in future peacekeeping missions at a senior level. We also encourage member states to share data on women progression, career progression, and achievements in peacekeeping with the UN, so that we can move forward this agenda of WPS. I thank you very much. Thank you.
Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for organizing this insightful series of events on breaking barriers for women in peacekeeping. I would like to thank the government of Germany, Ireland, Namibia, South Africa, Bangladesh, Kenya, Indonesia, and Canada. Your support and partnership in this area is and will remain absolutely crucial. Increasing women's full, equal, and meaningful participation in UN peace operations is one of the top priorities of the Department of Peace Operations. Women, peace, and security is a cross-cutting theme of action for peacekeeping. It is also an important and cross-cutting priority areas of action for Peacekeeping Plus, which is our implementation strategy for action for peacekeeping over the next 2 years. We have made great strides to achieve gender parity at all levels within UN peace operations, but almost all our uniform gender parity targets have been met. But there continue to be challenges, and the gains that were made remain fragile. Also, numbers are only part of the picture. Some of the barriers that were mentioned during these events illustrated that women often need to work harder to be formally recognized, nominated, and promoted, and to be able to play the same roles as their male counterparts. All of us, the UN, as well as member states, in close partnership, need to intensify our efforts to counter stereotypes and address all barriers to women's meaningful participation. The concise and actionable recommendations from this series of events are a vital contribution to our common objectives, and we will work on taking them forward wherever possible. I would like to focus on 4 key points. First, having reliable data on roles, ranks, and tasks of women at the UN and in military and security institutions is key to showing women's important contribution, as well as to track progress and promote accountability towards gender equality. In this regard, the Department of Peace Operations has recently launched a new gender parity reports for true contributing countries. Also, thanks to Germany's financial support, we are soon going to develop the first ever global report on the status of women in defense sectors, for which we will be seeking the continued support of our A4P WPS champions. Second, the creation of enabling environments must be at the center of our collective efforts to increasing gender parity. DPO has prioritized many initiatives in this regard over recent years, including with a focus on internal networks and workplace culture. We are currently working on training materials that will contribute to countering unconscious bias and stereotypes. We are also working very closely with our colleagues from the UN Department of Operational Support in developing a gender-responsive camp layout as part of an LC initiative project. Third, barriers to women's participation in peacekeeping must be addressed in an evidence-based way. To this end, DPO is currently conducting a project with generous support from Canada to gain a better understanding of the experiences of women deployed through internal consultations, as well as the development of a survey for uniformed personnel. In the same vein, I would like to take this opportunity to encourage member states who have not done so yet to carry out their national barrier assessments. Fourth and finally, the recommendations highlight that gender parity and increasing women's full, equal, and meaningful participation, like UN peacekeeping itself, is a theme effort. I could not agree more. DPO relies on its collaboration with member states, civil society, academia, and other partners to achieve these goals. To conclude, I would like to call on all of us to build strategic partnerships, intensify political advocacy, close knowledge and data gaps on gender equality, and continue to allocate the resources that are needed to accelerate the implementation of our shared WPS commitments. Thank you.
Undersecretary General Jean-Pierre, on behalf of all of my colleagues, can I thank you for your time today and for your ongoing efforts in progressing these important issues with so many partner countries that are supporting you now. We deeply appreciate your collaboration and cooperation, and we look forward to when we may next come together, and we hope that when we do, we'll be able to look together at how we've implemented some of these recommendations, and more importantly, the positive difference that they will have made to increase women's participation in peacekeeping. So to all of my colleagues that are representing their countries today, thank you for your contribution, and let's continue to prioritize this agenda to keep the improvements that are happening moving forward year after year. Thanks very much.